Alrighty, so we're over here at the Carbatech disc sander, belt sander combo. Now, as you can come through and see, the very front face here we're looking at is in fact the disc sander. It's got quite a small disc and it's also missing a guard, which would generally come down about halfway. This machine, due to the size of it, they wanted to give you as much sanding space as possible. Although when using one of these, it's incredibly dangerous to put your piece on the rotation side because this is going to spin this way and it's going to grab it and throw it out of your hands. When using a disc sander, you really want to make sure that you're keeping your hands well away from this part here. You also want to make sure that you're not having anything long, any long shirts or bangles, anything that could potentially get sucked down into the rotation of this. Also, if you've got long hair, make sure to tie that up. It'll get caught in there and you will be scalped, and it is not a pleasant experience. So when you're using a disc sander, it's very important to know that you must be wearing safety glasses. Now, on top of safety glasses, you need to know where the on-off switch is and the isolation switch. On this machine, the on-off switch and isolation switch is just over here. To turn this on, you pull this red lever back, it's going to open up and you'll be able to see a green and red button. Now that green button starts the machine, that red button stops it. Now, the reason we've got the large mushroom cap here is because it's a lot quicker and easier to hit that than it is to try and fumble and get to that red button. So you can just smack it shut and that's going to stop that machine. Now, with this machine, it is a great little machine. However, it does run both the disc sander and the belt sander at the one time, so it's important to be aware of where you're placing your hands, your objects, and to not use this as a, of course, bench for your piece, as it will suck it through. We've now covered a lot of the safety issues with this machine. The last one is, of course, dust. It shoots out a lot of dust, so you would normally want to have this hooked up to a form of extraction system. In my little workshop at home, I don't have that set up, so one day I will upgrade that. In the meantime, let's get into it. So we've just got our piece here and it's all sanded up. Now you want a flat base so that when it's sitting on something, it is dead flat. You've got a few options to do that. The very first thing you do want to go through and do though is get that pencil of yours and you want to draw in some marks going across like this. This is going to allow you to see when you've actually sanded off all the various sections on this product. And all the various rises and falls we'll go with. You've got a couple of options to go through and sand this. The very first one would of course be the linisher. If you're lucky enough to have a linisher, this would be my first option. If you don't have a linisher, it'd be to use a form of sanding board. Now this is a sanding board. Normally you would just get some sandpaper and you would glue it to a piece of timber. I have taped this one and trust me, it didn't work too well. From here, you'd obviously have this on a bench and you'd move this up and down, making sure to turn it around and to rotate it to make sure that you're getting even pressure going away the whole way. Finally, you can of course go through and use a sanding block. Once again, you would put this into a vise and sand it. Now, if none of these options tickle your fancy, you definitely can use a plane. We haven't used one in this tutorial series yet, and you're about to in the next few steps, so we'll stay away from that for right now. I'm going to go ahead and use the linisher side, and let's get into it. So as you can see, I've got my machine. I'm not standing on the side of the disc sander, I'm standing on the side of the linisher. I'm going to turn this machine on, turning it on. Now what you will have noticed just then is that I actually move my piece forward and backwards. The reason we don't just hold it in one spot is because you're going to wear out that specific section of sandpaper, thus making the whole sheet of sandpaper unusable. Of course, I was wearing my glasses, and if you are in a workshop setting where there's not quality extraction, do make sure you are wearing a dust mask. After we've gone through and we've got this surface nice and flat, as you can see here, we're going to go through and we're going to sand off the end to give us a 90-degree cut or a 90-degree edge coming across there. Now that we've got this sorted, we're going to come through and use this guide here to make sure that we're going to get a 90-degree angle going in. To do that, you're going to need your square, and I'm going to do it in reverse for you guys so you can see this. This is going to come through like so, and then you can move this square up against your edge. If this is out of square, let's say that this is on an angle, we're going to see that it's sitting on an angle and not sitting dead flat up against your board here. For this, to check this, you make sure that this edge is right up against the side of your square there, like so, and then run your square in and it will sort that out and lock that in to a 90-degree angle. From there, you can lock this in and tighten that up. We've got our piece here. We've got it nice and flat on this bottom section here. We're going to come through and give us a nice 90-degree angle coming from there and going straight up. We do need to remove a little bit of material. So to do this, make sure you're still wearing those safety glasses. You can turn the machine on. Whenever we're going to sand, we have a method on a sander called 2 on, 2 off. So it's 2 seconds on, 1, 2, 2 seconds off, 1, 2. And what that does is it goes through and it stops you burning your piece and also burning the disc. Once the disc is burnt, it's pretty much a throwaway and you have to put a new piece on. So let's not do that. Start this back up and let's go. You must always wait for it to stop moving before you walk away, and be cautious not to touch the end after you've freshly sanded it because it's going to be quite warm and toasty. Once we've got all that done, it's time to measure and mark this up in preparation to plane it down to the right angle. See you in the next video.